Hey, what's up? It's your boy Scarfinger, aka Mike, aka PTCAC representative, and I recently put out on the Scarcasm Discord. Scarcasm is the name of the podcast that I do. I put out a request for questions because I intended to do a AMA, but I figured it's probably better to do this in a different way, where I can do the answers one at a time. So I got a question from my man Chase, who is also my podcast partner over on Scarcasm, and he asked, how do you gauge paint so not much paint is wasted? And the answer to that is actually quite simple. I typically try to use as much paint as possible. Now, there is going to be some paint wasted, the paint that goes off the sides. That's going to be some paint wasted. I know a lot of people will do things like put something down to where you can use that later. I know some people use the droppings for like jewelry and things of that nature, where you can cut out certain pieces and turn that into, you can put that inside of like a locket type deal and make those into other things using the skins, as they say. I typically don't do that. My focus is usually on using as much paint as possible, and that happened to me recently, where I started practicing with the paints that my man Meef asked me to use on the painting for his daughter, and I made up some paint and I ended up making too much. So I originally had a concept of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and it just kind of changed over time. So I got a chance to practice it. I got a chance to do a couple of different things. I got to see what happens with those colors and additives and things of that nature, and it all just kind of worked out. I know the final painting you can see on the page is the 4-bit painting, and it all kind of worked out. So when I was practicing, I'll grab the paintings here. When I was practicing, my original plan was just to do a painting. I was originally going to do it on an 11x14 or a 12x12. I ended up doing this. I know there's going to be an issue with the light. And that comes from using better paints, because it actually creates a sheen more than the craft paints. The craft paints kind of are matte. So I created this, but I ended up putting this on a 10x10, so I had a lot of leftover paint. So in an effort to not waste, I decided to make another one, and I ended up making this painting. And this is another 10x10, but this time I added some silicone just to see the reaction, what it was going to do, and that kind of worked out a little bit. But I still had paint left, including kind of a greenish color that I kind of mixed up, just kind of playing around with some stuff on the side. But I wanted to use all of the paint, so I made this painting, which is the same colors. I had a little bit more white left, so there's way more white in this painting than the others, with the green that I made as a base layer. So in order to gauge it, now I have a pretty good idea how much, when I'm going to start a painting, how much I really should be using. I typically make a little bit more because there's been a lot of times where I had too little. And then what I typically do is my 8x10s, I use those for experimentation and just to kind of play around, and to also use the excess paint so that it's not wasted. I actually practiced the craft a little bit, and made something and tried something a different way, all in the name of experimentation and improving the craft. Because to be honest, I've only done this since February, so it hasn't even been a year yet since I have started doing these in general. So that is the answer to the question. I try to use as much as I can, and maybe a little bit later in the future, I'll start using the skins to make jewelry and things like that. I already have some in my Amazon queue, but I just haven't pulled the trigger yet on those. But at some point, I will, because we all want to be less wasteful, and me especially. And I turned my waste into more paintings and more practice, just more. So that's the answer to the question. Thank you very much, Chase. And if you have any other questions that you want to ask me, I know that I've been asked about starting with painting, and even though I've talked about it on the podcast, the several podcasts that I'm on, I have not spoke about it here by the time I started making these very often. So I'll do more of these, talk to y'all more directly, as opposed to just doing paintings. And hopefully sometime very soon, your boy's going to do a live stream. And if you got some more questions or anything like that, you can ask me there. So thank you for checking your boy out. Thank you for sharing, and subscribing when you can. Check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/PTCAC. Website's coming soon. I'm still working on that. As of right now, only thing that's up there is the YouTube stuff. So you might as well just stay in YouTube for now until I get all that straight. So thank you again. Peace out.